This case involves the brutal beating of a mother and her daughter, two innocent victims who somehow got caught up in somebody else's drama, something they had absolutely nothing to do with and no control over. Yet, for some unknown reason, they were targeted and attacked, resulting in a mother losing her life and her 4-year-old daughter being left to fight for her life for hours on end. But before we get into today's video, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder that CrimeCon 2024 in Nashville is quickly approaching. It's the end of May going into early June. So if you have not yet gotten your ticket, make sure you use code RachelShannon to get 10% off of your ticket. If you do use my code, let me know down below or you can email me. I'm so curious to see who all I'm going to see there. I cannot wait to meet you guys all there. Okay, with that being said, let's get into today's horrific, devastating case. This is the story of Mackenzie Hopkins and her 4-year-old daughter, Bella. Mackenzie Hopkins was born April 10th, 1997, living and growing up in Kansas City, Missouri. Mackenzie, who was called Mickey by close friends and family members, was known to be a ray of sunshine to those around her. She lived her life trying to spread positivity wherever she could. She wanted to make the lives of those around her better, which could be seen by the care she provided as a nursing assistant. At the time of her death, to take her career a step further, she was in the process of pursuing a degree in nursing. All she wanted to do was provide the best care she possibly could for her patients. But most of all, the most important thing in Mackenzie's life was her then 4-year-old daughter, Bella. Mackenzie was an absolutely devoted mother who did everything she possibly could to fill Bella's life with constant love and joy. According to Mackenzie's family, after becoming a mother, Mackenzie really came into herself. She found herself and truly became her own person. At the time, Mackenzie was no longer dating the father of Bella, who she had previously been dating for a few years, it seems. I have been able to find pictures of him online, but I don't think he's actually been publicly identified. What I will say is that I believe he is from Puerto Rico, and after all of this happened, he has since moved back. By the evening of Friday, January 14th, 2022, Mackenzie had been on the phone with her mother. She said that she was going to be spending that evening chilling at home, watching some movies, and hanging out. Now, Mackenzie worked the night shift at her nursing job, so her family knew that it was normal for her to stay up late and sleep in late on her days off. So, that evening, after talking with her mom on the phone, she told her that she would be calling her back that following day to chat. However, when the evening of January 15th, 2022 came and Mackenzie failed to reach back out to her family, they immediately knew that something was wrong. They called her multiple times and she still wasn't answering or responding, which was very unusual for Mackenzie. Her parents knew that she was the type of person to always call back if she promised to. So, at around 5 p.m. that evening, Mackenzie's father, Shannon, and her 13-year-old little sister, Hazel, headed over to her home to check on her. According to Shannon, as he was driving over there, he was immediately thinking of the worst-case scenario. She had just moved into her own place, so he was worried that maybe there was a gas leak. Maybe something had gone wrong. But what really happened was so much more horrific than anything they could have imagined. Now, as they were heading to Mackenzie's place, which was located about a half hour away from where he lived, Shannon had also called 911 to request a welfare check. By the time Shannon and Hazel arrived, police had also just gotten there. Once there, Shannon met with the officers who asked if he had a key. He did, so they all walked up to the door, and when Shannon went to put the key in the door to unlock it, the door sort of just opened. It was unlocked. With the door open, they saw that the apartment was very dark. So, police shined a flashlight inside as Shannon started to make entry, but immediately, as soon as they stepped into the home, they saw that there was blood all over the floor. Once they saw that, police pulled Shannon out of the home, who immediately just collapsed onto the grass. Both Shannon and Hazel just knew that something horrific had happened inside that home. They described that moment as earth-shattering and devastating. As police gained entry into the home, they saw that there were several spots of blood all over the main floor of the residence. There were a few different spots where it looked like the blood had pooled, and then there were drag marks that led to the bathroom. Along with those smears of blood, there were also footprints in that blood leading to all different places around that home. Police then made their way into the bathroom, where they found Mackenzie and her daughter Bella in horrific condition. Both were lying in the bathtub, submerged in water, absolutely covered in blood. It was at that time that police discovered that Mackenzie had been brutally beaten to death. She had clear signs of trauma to her face and head. Meanwhile, Bella had also been severely beaten and was suffering from extensive head trauma, but she was still actually alive. Immediately, 4-year-old little Bella was transported to the hospital in critical condition.
A beautiful and bright person with a bold personality. Mackenzie, like her brother and sister, was the light of her father's world.
She was caring. She was the most loving person.
Mackenzie, or Mickey, was studying to be a nurse when she gave birth to her daughter.
She came into her own as an individual when she became a mother.
Bella gave Mickey's life a new meaning and became the center of their family's world, a world that came tumbling down the night Mickey didn't call.
When she stayed up all night watching movies with her, sometimes she will sleep until early afternoon, but it had gotten to the point where it was too late.
Her father, sister, and police arrived at Mickey's house on a snowy January day in 2022. The door was unlocked and blood was everywhere.
The police pulled me out of the house and went in, and she and I just collapsed in the yard.
Mickey had been beaten to death. Her daughter, Bella, was also severely injured, but alive.
You know, I think that I thought, it's not possible that they're dead. It's not possible that this has happened this way, and it's not possible that we've lost one or both of them.
Meanwhile, Shannon was still outside trying to figure out a way to take in the news while also trying to comfort his daughter Hazel. They were informed that Mackenzie had been killed. Meanwhile, Bella was clinging onto life. The first thought in their heads were, who could possibly do this? Again, Mackenzie was known to be sweet, kind, and caring. No one had any idea of who would want to do this to her. Initially, Shannon thought that this must have been some sort of random act of violence, some intruder who attacked her and took her life. But that isn't what happened. Turns out, about 12 hours prior to discovering Mackenzie's body, at around 6 a.m. on January 15th, 911 had received a call from Mackenzie. In the call, there was a report of a disturbance where the dispatcher heard fighting in the background, but nobody was actually talking to the operator. It is a bit unclear whether police actually responded or not, but according to some reports, police responded to the residents and tried knocking, but they got no response, so they just left, which I think is very backwards. If you hear some fighting on a call and the person isn't speaking, that might mean that they're too afraid to let you know that they have called you. So you should get someone out there immediately. And if no one answers the door when you knock, that should be a red flag. But at this time, they didn't think anything of it. Now, upon investigating the scene closer, detectives found that within the bloody footprints scattered around the house, they saw thin horizontal stripes with the word Ariat in the middle of the top portion of the sole. Ariat is a very popular manufacturer of cowboy boots with all sorts of different styles and patterns available for their boots. Upon searching further into the specific print from the bloody shoe impressions, police matched the impression to Ariat's men's sports wide square toe boots. This boot was consistent with the shoe prints left in the home. After investigating the scene of the crime, police then went and questioned friends of Mackenzie's to see if they could get any further insight into who could have been responsible. Now, the name of this specific friend who they questioned has not yet been publicly released, and even if it was, I probably wouldn't mention it anyways. But police did end up contacting one of Mackenzie's friends to talk and headed to her residence to meet. Well, when at the friend's place in Kansas City, detectives noticed a pair of cowboy boots sitting by the front door. They asked who those boots belonged to, and she said that they belonged to her boyfriend, 30-year-old Jose Escalante Corchado. At the residence, police noticed a white truck sitting out front, which appeared to belong to either the friend or Jose. So, after questioning the friend, police went back to the station to run the plates on the car that was parked at the friend's home. They found that in the early morning hours of January 15th, a white truck with the same license plate number was traveling along Highway 71 before turning into multiple residential streets near Mackenzie's home. By 4:20 a.m., the truck is at a stoplight before driving onto another street by Mackenzie's place, where the truck stopped and sat for 37 minutes. By 4:57 a.m., the truck was seen driving south past Mackenzie's house before turning onto another residential street. After that, the truck is out of view of cameras. However, by 5:36 a.m., a surveillance camera from a neighbor of Mackenzie's captures an unknown male dressed in dark clothing walk past Mackenzie's house. By 5:46 a.m., the same man is seen walking up to the home before he goes behind the home. Once he's behind the home, he cannot be seen by surveillance cameras. However, shortly after this, by 6:01 a.m., 911 received that first call from Mackenzie where nobody is speaking, but the dispatcher hears yelling. Once again, any officers that were dispatched to the scene took over a half hour to get there, and then they just knocked and turned around and left. A minute later, by 6:02 a.m., the same unknown man is seen running away from the home until he is seen reaching the white truck, entering the truck and driving away by 6:04 a.m. By 6:12 a.m., the same white truck is observed pulling into the parking lot at a Shell Express Mart before the man enters the store. At this point, the man is identified as possibly being Hispanic with black hair, and he is seen wearing a dark hoodie, dark overalls, and a blue surgical mask. The man stays in the store for about 10 minutes before leaving at 6:22 a.m. By 6:27, the white truck was seen following two police cars on a road, still in the vicinity of Mackenzie's home. It is believed that these officers responded to the residents after that 911 call, but again, they left after knocking and getting no response. After that, the truck is seen then arriving to a street near Mackenzie's home before the man gets out and heads to the home on foot. By 6:48 a.m., the man is seen running towards her house again before disappearing behind the home. It appears that the man is inside the home for 2 hours before leaving at 8:48 a.m. He walks down the street until he's no longer seen by surveillance. Of course, it's thought that this truck belonged to Jose, and the man seen walking into her home was also Jose. To summarize what I just told you, it appears that for whatever reason, Jose went to Mackenzie's home at 6 a.m., sneaking in through the back. A fight broke out, which was heard on that 911 call. At that time, some sort of physical altercation broke out, but we don't know if this is when Mackenzie was actually murdered. He then left and returned back to the home several minutes later, staying inside for another 2 hours. It's possible that after seeing the police cars, he was worried about Mackenzie reporting the break-in and the altercation to police, so he went back, and that is when he finished her off and beat her to death. It's also been stated by some family members that he also might have only beaten Mackenzie when he was there the first time, and then he returned to beat Bella as well to finish the job. Either that or the altercation took place within those few minutes at 6 a.m., where he beat both Mackenzie and Bella and then left their beaten bodies in the living room. Then, for whatever reason, he felt the need to come back and move the bodies. Maybe after seeing the police going to her house, he didn't want them to be able to just look in the window of the living room and see the bodies there. So he returned to the home to move Mackenzie and Bella to the bathroom. Now, he didn't take the time to clean or anything, so I'm not sure why he didn't do that, because he was there for 2 hours. Maybe it took longer than he thought, and after spending hours just moving the bodies, he felt like he needed to get out of there, so that's why he didn't clean up or anything. I'm not exactly sure, but my thought for why he might have gone back and moved the bodies was so that they wouldn't be discovered for longer, and that, finding them would be delayed, so he had more time to figure out what he was going to do. Family members have stated that there was no weapon found at the scene, but they noticed that there was a large, heavy metal bar on Mackenzie's door that was missing when they found her body. So it's believed that this may have been what was used to beat her to death. After finding the surveillance video of what appeared to be Jose going and attacking Mackenzie, by the following day, January 16th, police executed a search warrant on the home of Jose's girlfriend, and it was also at that time that Jose was arrested and taken into police custody on suspicion of murder. While executing the search warrant, police also spoke with Mackenzie's friend once again to get more information about the night of Mackenzie's murder. According to the friend, she stated that on the night of January 14th, she had told Jose that she was going to be hanging out with Mackenzie and that they were going out. This, however, was not true. It was a lie. She never planned on meeting up with Mackenzie. It was just a cover story to hide what she was truly doing. That night, she went out to a party, returning home just after midnight on January 15th. When she returned home, she said that Jose was not there. He was out all night, not returning home until after 10 a.m. that day. At the same time that the friend was giving her version of events, Jose was at the station telling officers what he was doing that night. He said that on the evening of January 14th, he went to the casino where he met two of his cousins to hang out with. After spending some time there, he left the casino alone and headed to a local bar in Kansas City called Missy B's. He stayed there until it closed at 3 a.m. After closing time, he stayed outside the bar and spoke to a few random people before leaving his truck and headed home. I believe his time at the bar was confirmed by surveillance video. However, at this time, police confronted Jose with the video evidence that they had of his truck being in the area of Mackenzie's house at the same time that she is believed to have been murdered. Jose did admit that it was him in the truck and said that he made a few random turns when driving home, but nothing specific. He didn't have a reason to be in the vicinity of Mackenzie's home. He didn't even realize that that's where he was. He was then told that when he was seen on surveillance video at that Shell gas station, he was wearing a completely different outfit than when he was at the bar. But he had a story for this too. He said that after leaving the bar, he put on his overalls and boots and went to the gas station for whatever reason. I don't know why, but he decided to change. That's what he was telling police. When he was asked if he knew Mackenzie, he said he did. He said that he helped her move into her home and said that her daughter would know him if she saw him. He said that he had absolutely nothing to do with her murder, but had zero explanation for why he was in the area of her home for 2 hours. So based on all of this information, police felt like they finally had enough to officially charge Jose with first-degree murder, first-degree assault, 2 charges of armed criminal action, and first-degree endangering the welfare of a child. Based on these charges, the prosecution could seek the death penalty in this case if they chose to go that route. At this time, his trial was scheduled to take place in April of 2024. However, after 2 years of awaiting his trial in jail, Jose actually took a plea deal. Instead of going to trial, Jose pleaded guilty to the second-degree murder of Mackenzie and first-degree assault of 4-year-old little Bella. For this, he was given a sentence of 30 years for each charge, which are to be run concurrently. So, he will spend 30 years in prison for the murder of 24-year-old Mackenzie Hopkins and 4-year-old little Bella, most likely being released from prison in his 60s. Of course, the family was and still is devastated about how this whole situation went down. They believe that this was a first-degree murder, not second. There was clearly planning involved based on the surveillance video found. When they were asked what they think happened, they basically said that he's just an animal. There's no further explanation. Because of the plea deal, we didn't get a trial, so we didn't really get further information about why this happened. But based on what we know up to this point, and this is just my opinion, nobody else's, it's not fact, it's just my opinion, it seems like Jose might have felt like the girlfriend was lying to him. He probably knew that something sketchy was going on, So he went and checked Mackenzie's house, maybe to see if the friend's car was parked there or something. Maybe he found out some other way that his girlfriend wasn't there. I'm not exactly sure. But either way, I think that Jose was extremely angry about whatever his girlfriend was doing. So given that Mackenzie was the friend's scapegoat, he went to her home and took his anger out on her. We don't really know why. We don't know what was going through his head at the time. But I do think that the reason Mackenzie was targeted and murdered was because her friend used her as a scapegoat. Again, this is all just my opinion. In reality, we probably will never have solid answers for why this happened unless Jose decides to talk, which I don't think is very likely. When it comes to the plea deal, Mackenzie's family have said that the prosecution explained that they don't have a very solid case. There is a lack of evidence here, so they probably would have had to lower the charges to second degree anyways. They said that the max sentence they probably could have gotten out of a jury would have been 25 years, so they reluctantly accepted the plea deal and allowed Jose to be sentenced to 30 years behind bars. So that is all of the information that we have on today's case. Obviously, this was a horrific, tragic case that seems to have happened for absolutely no reason. Clearly, Jose has some serious mental health issues that led him to become so angry to take his anger out on two innocent victims that never did him wrong in any way, one of them being a tiny, tiny, adorable little child. I still have so many questions about why this happened, but like I said, I don't know if we will ever know. My heart absolutely goes out to Shannon and Hazel, who had to find out about Mackenzie's death in the most traumatizing way. I can't even imagine what they went through and continue to go through to this day. It's tragic, it's unimaginable, and I truly hope that they find peace with Jose being behind bars. I do also want to point out that the family has set up a GoFundMe to help them during this devastating time. They've had the burden of paying for Bella's medical treatments, the funeral, and everything else that comes with such a horrific case like this. I'm sure that all of this has put a massive financial strain on the family, so if you do have anything to spare, please consider donating. The fundraiser will be linked down below. But that is all of the information that I have on today's case, and now I want to know what you all think. Why do you think this happened? Do you agree with my theory, or do you think there's something else at play here? Let's discuss this and any other thoughts that you have in the comments below. If you like this video, please make sure to go ahead and leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I put out new true crime and mystery videos every single week. Don't forget to turn that notification bell on so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Make sure you follow my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and my Spotify. All will be linked down below. And if you have any case suggestions, please make sure to fill out the Google form, which is also listed down below. With that, I hope you guys have an amazing week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope to see you next time.